So I just want to say thank you, Jeff. That was really nice of him to say, and he's definitely become one of my favorite people. We spent a couple days together in Texas. He was really adamant about watching Brokeback Mountain together. So, so after we watched that, it just changed everything. No, but definitely love the guy. He'll be at top 50 PD and all that good stuff. His time is coming, just like everybody's time is coming. I just want to say thank you for having me tonight. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate the Team Hustle Champ, but I appreciate all of you. We're all one big family, right? We're all chasing the same thing. We want a better life. And you know, my life before Street was very different, guys. I was down and out. If you don't know my story, I'll tell you a little bit about it. I was a state bodybuilding champion, ranked 12th in the North Americans, Mexico, Canada, and USA, and everything came to an abrupt halt after 8 years of working really hard. It took me 8 years, 8 attempts to win a state title. I would always either get second place, excuse me, or I'd win my class, but I wouldn't win the overall. And every year I just would come back, and I remember thinking, like, if I just don't quit, if I keep pushing harder, and what happened is, every time I lost, I came back a better version of myself, to the point where in the 8th year I was unstoppable. Nobody could even touch me. If it wasn't for those losses, I would never even got to that high standard of that physique that I had, right? And then everything came crashing down. I started making some bad choices, and I started hanging out with the wrong people, and next thing you know, I lost everything. And back then I thought, man, my life is over. You know, I thought I was put here to do bodybuilding, but it's amazing how there's a different plan for us a lot of times, and that plan, just like Inky Johnson talked about it, his plan was he thought he was going to be an NFL football player, and he got paralyzed, right? For me, my whole life set me up for this moment to get involved in Stream. I feel like everything was aligned perfectly to be part of this company and to be able to inspire others and influence others to change their lives. There's no better feeling knowing there's people in this room that came out here because of me, because I said yes to an opportunity. And when I started this business, I had zero network marketing skills. Zero. I had never done network marketing business in my life. I never had to create leaders. I had never had any kind of special business training where I could understand all the stuff you saw. I just know that I wanted more out of my life. And a lot of times I'll watch movies, like I watched one the other day, the Green Book. And great movie, isn't it? And I'll see like yesterday, like Luke Perry passed away from 90210, right? Tragic. And I don't know what it is about when I watch movies and I see people pass away, I start Googling them and start looking at like whether I see what I see in the movie and I start looking at their lives and I think, isn't it weird how like at one point Elvis Presley was here and he was like on top of the world, or Luke Perry was probably on top of the world, and like now they're gone. Like the present time is constantly moving, but we all have that time on earth. We all have that time here. And I'm just gonna tell you, what I really want to take from tonight is 2 things. And one is, this is your time, guys. This is your time. There's gonna be a day where we're not gonna be here. And 80 years from now, probably nobody, maybe except that little kid I saw here, won't even be here. Like this is your chance in life. This is like that real, that when you watch those movies, those documentaries, those real life stories, and you're watching those cool, like, movies where people are having that really amazing life, they did something inspirational in their life. If you watch a movie, let's say like a movie Malcolm X or Muhammad Ali, these guys are gone. But there was a present time, and I tried to explain it to Monica there, and I said, Monica, after I watched the movie, I said, babe, this is our time. Like, this is our time. This is our only time. And that's why I run so hard. Not only that, but I had a grandmother who worked in olive fields from 5 years old, who raised 28 grandkids. And she didn't have this opportunity. Your grandparents or their great parents didn't have this opportunity. Like, we didn't have network marketing, social media. Like, that last name that they put onto you, like, we need to make sure that it meant something for everybody who lived before us. When you walk through my house, you see everybody who's passed away in my family somewhere on my walls. And there's times where I walk out of my house like this and pray because they set forth a path to allow us to be here today. And we gotta make a difference. We gotta make sure that it's not in vain. And that's why I work so hard at what I do. And I'll tell you, the other thing I want you to take away from tonight is that you gotta lose to win. I lost my bodybuilding career, and then look what I've gained now, right? And I'll give you a perfect example. On Netflix, there's a documentary called Losers. And I thought, that's a weird name for a show. It's not kind of negative, right? So I watched it to see what it was about, and there's a guy named Michael Bentz. Never knew who he was. He's a boxer. And as a kid, his dad wanted him to be a boxer, but he didn't want to be a boxer. And one day at 9 years old, he comes home and goes, Dad, I'm not going to be a boxer. His dad beats him inhumanely with an antenna wire. Ends up becoming Golden Glove champion, 4 times Golden Glove champion, 4 years in a row, 5-time national champion, turns pro, but doesn't want to be a pro. His dad was making him be a pro. He's like, well, you know what I'll do? I'll fight 25 bums, I'll beat them all, I'll fight Mike Tyson for the heavyweight championship of the world. I'll make 50 million and I'll retire. That was his plan. Well, guess what happened? His first fight, he gets beat. First fight, this is Golden Glove champion. He loses to a bum. In the documentary, he goes, I guess the guy didn't realize what the script was supposed to be. Everybody made fun of him. Even when he got a parking ticket in New York, even the parking meter guy wrote, "Chump, you got knocked out in the first round." He was suicidal. He was depressed. Decided to hang up boxing. So what does he do? He becomes Evander Holyfield's sparring partner to make money. Evander Holyfield's coach says, "Hey, I got to talk to you after this session. I'll come back into the office. What's up? I'm going to be honest with you. When I watch you and Evander Holyfield spar, I can't tell who the champion is. I can't tell if you're the champion or he's the champion. That's how good you are. You need to make a second run." So my point in this, and we're going to get about 2 more minutes of the story, is he was influenced by somebody. See, I was influenced by a lot of people in this business, and that's one thing this business does. It influences you. It helps you pull out the best in you. That's why a lot of these people are in this room, because somebody's influenced them, right? And everybody who was up here was in the audience at one point. Just remember that. I had 0 customers at one point, 0 associates at one point, right? So what does he do? He goes back and starts boxing, wins his next 9 fights in a row. His 10th fight, I actually remember the fight because I was a kid and I watched it on TV. Anybody remember Tommy Morrison? Yes. He's not here no more either. He passed away. He had his time. His time is gone. I bet you those moments when he was winning those boxing fights and making that money, making his family proud was pretty cool, but it's no longer here. That's why it's important. It's our time, guys. And I remember watching that fight and Tommy Morrison, I was like, wow, this guy's awesome. He got knocked out like crazy the one night. I couldn't believe I saw him get knocked out. Well, now I realize Michael Bentz is the guy who knocked him out. Michael Bentz knocks him out, wins the championship. Then he realizes that he's the heavyweight champion of the world. He's like, I don't want to do this. I don't really want to be here. So what happens? He fights Herbie Hyde. Herbie Hyde beats him. He goes into a severe depression, puts a gun in his mouth 3 times. Doesn't blow the trigger, thankfully, right? After that, what happens is a guy named Bert Sugar says to him, hey man, you should write an article. Write an article about like this, the effects of getting knocked out since you seem so upset. So what did he do? He goes, you know what, I like writing. He locks himself in his room for 3 days and writes an article about the effects of being KO'd. That article was gold. People loved it. Again, another person influencing him, right? From there, guess what happens? A director sees him and says, hey, I want to meet you. And next thing you know, he plays Sonny Liston in the movie Ali with Will Smith. And from there, he's played in Broadways, tons of movies. He found his calling. His calling wasn't boxing, his calling was acting. But the point of this is 2 things. One, he failed his way to there. When he got beat and he put that gun in his mouth, he had no idea that was part of the process. That was leading him to his greatness. And also there was 2 people that influenced him. That's what we're here to do. We're here to influence each other to have a better life. With that being said, I'm super excited, guys. The compensation plan that we have and the field that we have and the culture that we have is bar none. I love this opportunity for many reasons. One, the grandmother who I told you about, she adopted me when I was a kid. And if you look at my phone, you'll see a picture of her holding me here. So here she was in her 50s. That's me in Greece in a little makeshift diaper. I don't know what she used. But here's the crazy part about this photo. This is me back in 1977. That's crazy how time has flown, right? She had no idea that little boy that she adopted in 2014 would pay for her funeral. She passed away in 2014 and nobody in Greece nor my father could pay for her funeral. And I used 1 weekly bonus check to pay for this woman's funeral at 99 years old. She had no idea when she was holding that little kid in her lap that one day he would come forward and do that. To me, that's been the greatest single thing this business has done for me. If I wouldn't have been able to pay for my grandmother's funeral, I probably would never forgive myself. Because a few years earlier, I was completely broke. Now, this opportunity is all brought to us by one special person in my life. And you guys heard him earlier, we're going to bring him up here. But I want to say a couple things that he's probably never even heard. So I've never had I hope I don't get emotional, because I'm usually an emotional guy, but I've never had a positive male role model in my life. And I'm 43 and it still stings a little bit, right? And to me, I think I could have done so much more great things in my life if I had, and I'm not regretting it because I'm who I am, but if I had somebody to push me, I always thought I would do something special in my life and change the world, and I always had that drive, and I would start something, and not that I would quit, but I would just never have support. And my whole life I was fighting against my dad who would put me down, my stepfather who would verbally, insult me and make me, but I always knew like, no, I gotta be better than this. These words can't be true about me, right? So I never had a positive role model. So my whole life, I was the only guy that I had to trust in myself. So I joined the company, and I get to senior director, and I help somebody promote to executive director, so I get to go on this really cool dinner, the ED dinner, which I can't wait to, when some of you guys go to ED, and hopefully you invite me to your ED dinner. I hope so. I'll just let you know now, please invite me, it's really cool. And I go to and they're like, yeah, the owner of the company is going to be flying in on a jet, and I'm expecting this guy in a suit, right? Like Dapper Don, like a mafia-looking guy. I don't know. I was expecting, and I'm in a suit because I'm like, yeah, I got a watch on, expensive watch. I'm wearing this crazy suit. I got to look like a businessman. And I'll never forget. We were in the limo, and I'm telling him about my schedule, and I don't know what I said to him, but I started feeling like maybe I had to be somebody else, like I had to impress him, and I had to like maybe become somebody I'm really not to make this business work. And he said something to me that I'll never forget. And he said to me, guys that make money don't wear $2,000 suits. They wear whatever they want. And I thought, this is the first time I'd ever heard somebody in a position of power above me, and a male, who accepted me for who I was, who didn't tell me that I had to be a certain person. And I went back and I got the ED in a wife beater and shorts. And my SDs were like, listen, GK, you're just getting lucky right now. Like, you know a lot of people, but once you go ED, you're gonna have to put a suit on. Yeah, and then you gotta get rid of the baseball hat. I was like, okay. So that year when I went to Ignition, my upline, who told me that, was ranked 31 in the company. So when I got ranked 20th, I walked by and I was like, hey, you guys might want to buy a tank top and a hat. So that was my first, thank you. That was my first exposure to this gentleman. The second time was I was in front of a Radio Shack. I still remember where I was. I got a phone call from Texas. I was on my way to work. I was working for my mom. Things were tough. She was 5 weeks behind on paying me. We were living together. We were starting to get on each other's nerves because there was a lot of debt collectors were calling. I was trying to do positive things. I was in school. We would be arguing about money. She'd say she gave me $50, and I'd say, no, you didn't. And it was just a lot of tough times that we were both trying to survive through, right? And I get a phone call, and it had a Texas on the phone. I pick it up, and it was Rob. And Rob's like, hey, I just want to let you know, like, you're doing like a phenomenal job. Like, you're killing it. Keep it up. Like, I'm proud of you. And I was just like amazed. And I'm gonna have the order backwards, but I think the phone call came after I saw him in the limousine for the dinner. And I remember like just thinking, wow, I can't believe this guy just called me and told me I'm doing, like I had never had a male in my life ever tell me something like that. Ever. I was like, I don't know how old I was, 38, 39 years old. And it actually, like, I sat in my car and I was reflecting on like what's going on in my life and how amazing I felt, and how special I felt, and how I wanted to make sure that I could make other people feel this way. And I got to work that day, and I actually got to work 2 minutes late. And I got to work, my mom's like, you're late, don't do it again. She was like real cocky that day. I don't know what was going on with her. Maybe she didn't have her baklava, I don't know what. But I'll never forget, guys, and I shouldn't have done this, but you learn. I said to my mom, listen, you know what? I remember thinking, damn, I can't believe the owner of Stream just called me and told me I'm doing great and keep it up, and he's proud of me. My own mom never gives me positive affirmation. I love my mom to death, by the way. We have a really good position we're at in life right now. I'm actually helping her. It's like the roles are reversed. I'm helping her with business stuff. But the point of the matter is, I said to my mom, listen, you know what? I'm going to be late tomorrow too. She goes, oh, really? I said, yeah, and I'll be late the day after that because I quit. And I actually quit my job right there. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, for 14 days, I was like, this is weird. I don't have to get up and go anywhere. And I was like scared. I was like, I've never not had a job. But what it did was it got me to ED 2 months later because I started doing meetings all morning long. I was like, wow, there's a lot of people that actually don't go to work in the morning. Right? But those are two interactions that I had. And the last one I can tell you, these are three that stick out the most to me. I had an ED dinner with Rob too, but this is before the ED dinner. So what happens is I get to ED. My mom used to tell me when I first joined Stream, like, don't tell people your secrets because you never tell competitors your secrets. So she was thinking about she owned a day spa, so she obviously was comparing day spa to day spa. Network marketing is totally different. I can tell you everything I know and it's not gonna affect my business, right? We all have different ways of life. It doesn't matter. I can help you every single day. It won't negatively affect my business. But for the first year, she was like, don't tell people that. So I was under the radar. I was blocking Rob on Facebook. I blocked Presley. I was like, I don't want nobody to know what I'm doing, right? So I get to this like event on a Saturday in King of Prussia. It was I think for me and Wayne. Wayne, you were there, right? It was for us to get our ED trophies. There was a guy from Atlanta, right? There was a guy from Atlanta, and people were like, who the heck is this kid? He looks like he's in his 20s. Like, I came in like Batman. They were like, whoa, that's the new ED, this guy? We've never even seen him before, right? But I gotta tell you what sticks out the most to me, being a person who, again, has never really had, my mom did a great job raising us. She did her best, but my mom didn't come from a family who gave her positive affirmation. So in respect to my family, to my parents, it's not their fault. They're a product of how they were raised and how they were giving affirmations and what they were told in their life. So we duplicate that cycle, right? So I was in the back, and and I have it on YouTube actually. You guys can watch this. I did make another joke about ED, so if you want to see that ED joke, it's on that video too. Because he told me to have fun with my ED that weekend. But anyway, you guys might catch that later in the car. Somebody explain it to him later, you know. But anyway, the point of the matter is, I was in the back of the room, and he was about to bring me up, and I was just expecting him to say, like, you know, the newest ED. And I'll tell you, like, if you watch that video, the amount of like positive affirmations and just kind words, true words that he said about me, to me, like, I just couldn't believe he was talking about me. And I'll tell you, like, Rob being gone for 5 years, I still hustled, but there's just different sense now that he's back, because I almost feel like I never had that parent that I wanted to make proud. I never had that dad who was on the sidelines, like, there to watch me and say, okay, that's my boy, he's killing it. If I would have worked harder. And I'll tell you right now, I'm doing webinars every Monday night again. I'm doing a lot of things that I did in the beginning. And subconsciously, I'm realizing it's obviously for my team and myself, but it's the Rob factor. It's the fact that I know what this guy stands for. I know what he wants. I know he doesn't have to be doing this. He doesn't have to be here today. You know, he doesn't have to be anywhere near her today. He's here because he wants to make sure that dash between the day he was born and the day he's gone one day, that dash signifies something of importance. Because that dash is really the most important thing you see when somebody passes away on that tombstone. It's what did that dash, what did it stand for? Who did they help? Whose lives did they change? What were they remembered for? So I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I really want to see all of you change your lives. You got the right vehicle. You got the right place at the right time. It's never been any better, I can tell you that. And you got the right leader. And with that, I want to bring up somebody who I appreciate more than words can say. The founder of Stream. Give it up, stand of applause, please, for Rob Snyder.